Well guys, I said when we hit 50,000 subscribers, I'd show you my daily driver, and we did it. 50,000 subscribers, that's amazing. I'm so thankful, and whether you've been with the channel for a long time or you're a recent subscriber, I really appreciate you being here. And here's your reward. I will show you my daily driver. There it is. It is a 1994 Toyota Land Cruiser, the FZJ 80 generation, and I'll give you a bit of background. If you've been with the channel for a while, then you already knew I had this car, but it's been so long since I showed it off, and I've done a lot of stuff to it since the last time I showed it. So let's just talk about why I picked this car and what I use it for, and then I can kind of give you a little briefing on the modifications I've done. And maybe if you want to learn more about the mods, I can do separate videos on those, but for now, just a brief overview. So I picked the 94 Land Cruiser because, well, a couple of reasons. One, I love 90s cars, and I like the roundedness and the ruggedness of this truck. So it really suits my personality and my interests. So 94 Land Cruiser was it for me. I love this color, this forest green. It's not the I think jade green is what they call the factory paint color, but it's a really nice forest green paint. It's got some metal flake to it, and this one has been repainted by the previous owner, but it just sparkles when you get it all clean and shiny like this. So I love that paint color. The reason I chose a 94 Land Cruiser as opposed to an earlier 90s model is because up until 1992, this vehicle used a 4-liter inline 6-cylinder that only made 155 horsepower. But from 93 until the new generation Land Cruiser came along, the FJ100, it used a 4.5-liter inline 6-cylinder that now made 212 horsepower. So a lot more usable power, and for getting up to speed on a highway, or if you're going up a mountain road or down one, it really helps to have that extra power. And for towing, it really becomes the useful feature. So definitely loved that 4.5-liter inline 6. That's the FZJ 80 generation of the engines for this car. That's where it gets its name. So I picked that age range, the 93 to 97, and the reason I went with the 93 or 94 model, 94 being this one, is because it had the more classic Toyota logo in the grille. It didn't, in 95 it switched to a more upright and square grille, but the 94 model had Toyota spelled out on it. The 95s, they have just the Toyota crest. I wanted it spelled out, and I really just like how it looks. So it was very much a stylistic choice, choosing 94 instead of a 95 model. And yeah, that's kind of how I found my way to this truck. I did a lot of research, found the right one. This one had low miles. It had like 129,000 miles when I bought it 2.5 years ago. And so I was very pleased with it. It didn't really have many mods to speak of. The suspension was stock. All the gear on it that you're seeing right now, that's all stuff that I've done. So we can kind of get into the modifications that I've done. I think this is a good time for that. So at its base version, when I first got the truck, the first thing I did to it was I installed this front runner Slimline roof rack. Can't speak. I installed the roof rack because I wanted to be able to put gear up there and eventually a rooftop tent, which I then did next. But this is just a really great rack, and it's got slotted grooves in it that you can put 10mm bolts, and you can attach so many accessories to it, as you've seen I've done here. But it's just a really solid rack, and it can support upwards of like 600 pounds. So it was a great addition. And the next thing I did was installed my RoofNest hard shell rooftop tent. I wanted hard shell because I wanted it to not be as much of a penalty in terms of aerodynamics as soft shell tents. And I liked just the general pop-up nature. I didn't go for a pop-up this way, I just went for a straight pop-up. And we can fit, my wife and I can fit in there very easily, very comfortably. It's almost like a queen-size bed inside. And when kiddos come along, we can fit 1 or 2 in there. We'll see. But that was the next addition. And then from there, what did I do? I hopped into the suspension from there, and I did a Dobinsons 2.5-inch suspension lift with medium resistance or medium weight springs, as opposed to going heavyweight, because I don't have bumpers or anything ultra heavy on the truck. I'm probably at the very limit now of the medium weight, so I may have to go up if I do have bumpers. Probably not going to do that because I want to keep the classic look. That was my theme for this car. I wanted to keep it looking like a Land Cruiser. I didn't want it to morph into something else. So I did the suspension, very, very happy with that. The tires, I freshened the tires. They were the same size, but they were 33. So So I kept the 33-inch tires, but I upgraded to Cooper Discover AT3 XLT tires. They've been amazing rubber out there, both on the driving roads and then off-road. So those were great. And more recently, I've added just subtle styling things that also have some practical functions, like these bubbled visors along the windows, and so that really helps if you've got a window down. You're not going to get that buffeting noise of the wind. And I like the JDM look. A lot of the JDM Land Cruisers have these, and I think it looks super cool. So that was both style and function. And inside, I can show you a couple of the updates. Oh, well, the lights. Yeah, I was gonna, let me save those, the lights and the sliders for last. Christina brings up good points, but I'm gonna save those because those are the more recent additions and I may review those. So, inside, I also loved this year because I liked the kind of herringbone look to these fabric seats. I wanted fabric seats. A lot of people like leather. I love the fabric look, especially the 90s with these like designs on it. It's super cool. Leather, easier to clean, but it also cracks and shows its wear and age. The fabric does not do that, so I loved these seats. That's why I picked those. I installed this 3D cup holder set because there's just nowhere to put your beverage in this car. And as you know, love my large water bottle, and it fits in these cup holders. So I installed those, and then what else did I do on the inside? Ah, yes. As we come to the back seats, that head unit over here was from the original owner, so it's like a JVC head unit. It's nothing special, but I can hook up my backup camera to it, so that's very useful because sometimes you just need to see what you're doing, what's going on behind you. When the truck is full of stuff, you can't see. I built this platform myself just for my dog, so he'd have a place where he could lay out, and there's additional storage now under here, so I had to remove the second row of seating to make this work, but this was a great addition. I'm really happy with it, and it can support plenty of weight, so not just my dog, but other gear and things like that. And it really just opens up the storage of the Land Cruiser. As is, you know, it's a good sized truck, but by today's standards, this is a mid-size SUV. Back then it was a full size. Now full-size SUVs are huge. So this truck, mid-size SUV, of course I took out the third row of seating pretty much immediately because I have no use for them. But taking out the second row of seating, that was an interesting decision, and when kids come along, I will have to put those back. But for now, it's great for the dog and for additional storage. Back here, we can check out this fridge. It is a Dometic CFX DZW 75 DZW fridge. Push this off to the side, and it came with a slider system. I actually reviewed this fridge, and it's been a great addition for our camping trips. It can freeze things, it can just keep them cool, and this is hooked up to an auxiliary battery unit that I can show you under the hood there. So you can see there's quite a bit that I've done to this truck. But this fridge has been an awesome addition. One of the earlier things that I did to the truck, and one of my favorite features about it. So that was a good addition. Of course, I threw in some traction pads. I've got some MaxTrax in here. Those are very much essential in terms of recovery, especially if you're going at it alone out there on the trails. As we work our way, we can actually kind of just go around to this side of the truck. It's going to be more in shade now, but I can show you the awning. This is a Rhino rack Batwing awning that we installed on it, and I actually reviewed this for a different publication. And it's a really cool awning that swings out and goes all the way around to cover the tailgate. So it offers a really nice coverage zone, and it's great for whether it's raining or whether it's really sunny, just having that shade. And it has additional pieces that you can install in it, panels that you can install, so you can create annexes and complete rooms with the awning. That was a great addition. Let me show you under the hood. I will just briefly show you the auxiliary battery unit. So as it's currently set up, I have the starter battery over yonder. That is the starter battery. I had to think for a second because they look equal. They look the exact same. This is the starter battery over here. This is stock with the truck. Just looks up like that. So that's just starting the engine. And then I installed this auxiliary battery, and I had to get a kit for moving this washer fluid bottle over to behind to the back of the engine bay, and then install this battery. It's the same as that one, and this runs all of the auxiliary functions, things like the fridge, and when I set them up, the lights and things like that. So installing this secondary battery was really great, and it's set up such that if it needs to jump start that battery, it can. All right, and from there, what else? Well, I guess we can just go into the lights and the sliders. So these rock sliders are from White Knuckle Off-Road, a company based in, it's escaping me. It's not too far, and it's in Southern California. But these sliders are made out of HREW steel, really thick sliders, and I wasn't concerned, I was concerned I didn't want to damage these rocker panels because sometimes you can't even fix them, not just replacing them, sometimes you can't fix them at all. So I made sure wanted those to be safe. These sliders were an addition later to the truck. They're more recent. I wish I had installed them sooner. Not that I've damaged anything, but it would have just been nice to have that safety while I was out there. But now I've got the sliders installed, and I went for the decreased angle ones. They're only angled up at a 10-degree angle, such that they can be used as steps. So instead of having to install steps that maybe wouldn't have protected the truck, I installed sliders that also function as steps. So it makes it easier for getting in and out of the truck. Christina's a tall lady, so she doesn't really need these necessarily, but Obi and my dog and the kids, eventual kids, may need those. So yes, those were a great addition. And then these lights. These are Light Force LED driving lights. They're called the Venom lights. And the company is out of Australia. I was turned on to this company by a colleague in the automotive industry who said, you know, really great driving lights. You should check them out. So I'm reviewing these as well as these sliders. And I just love the look of them. I love that they're LEDs, but they have that classic rounded 90s look to them. So I get this very Jurassic Park vibe from the truck right now. Not just the fact that it's green, but the rounded lights up top, the four spaced out. It's kind of like my 90s kid dream coming true here. So I really love the look of those, and they're very bright. So that was a great addition, but not necessarily a first addition to the truck. And I think that's it for the mods. There have been so many changes. I actually going through all these right now makes you realize how much has changed about the truck over time. But the important part is this, that it still looks like a 90s Land Cruiser. It still has that classic Toyota look, and that's what I fell in love with. Oh, can't forget the Cruiser license plates. I was so happy that that was available. Granted, it's not how C-R-U-I-S-E-R is spelled, but it's pretty close. It's the same sound. So I was pumped that those were available. Probably one of my favorite mods. Yeah, so that is my daily driver, quote unquote. And the funny thing is that I never daily drive it. We're very fortunate in that I review so many press vehicles that I don't necessarily need a car to drive on a daily basis. Christina has a car, and so this has become our adventure vehicle. We take it on a whole bunch of trips. We're actually taking one this summer. So you'll probably see some live Q&A videos from when we're on the trail this summer. That's going to be in about a month that we're leaving on that. So that's my truck. Thank you again so much for 50,000 subscribers. And maybe at 100,000, I'll tell you how I got into what I'm doing right now, how I fell in love with cars, and kind of my process of becoming an automotive journalist. So thank you guys so much for watching, and this is my Land Cruiser.